Hello students, I hope you all are doing well. Today in this video lecture we are going to start off with a new poem, Heartwood. This poem is composed by Robert Macfarlane. About the poet. He was born on 15th of August 1976 in Helm, which is in Nottinghamshire. At present, he is 44 years old. He is seen as one of the influential authors writing about landscape, nature, place, people, and travel. His interest in ecology and environment have been explored in his poems, essays, and books. At present, he is a founding trustee of the charity named Action for Conservation, working specially with schools, inspiring students and faculty members to conserve nature. Awards and honors. He has around 16 different awards and prizes to his credit. Now, the highlights of this poem. The poet is a contemporary British poet and non-fictional author. His writing highlights the beauty, power, humbleness, and importance of nature. In this poem, he reminds us the usefulness of trees and tells us the need to become sensitive towards this life giver. He also emphasizes on the urgency for protecting and conserving the trees for saving the world ultimately. This poem makes an earnest request to stop merciless killing of trees and destroying forests. We humans should always remember, according to this poem, that we live in a vicious circle where humans, trees, nature, and wildlife are interdependent. Now, let's read this poem. You will see that a tree here is talking to a woodcutter, and the tree is speaking and saying, "Would you hew me to the heartwood cutter? Would you leave me open-hearted? Put an ear to my bark, cutter. Hear my saps mutter. Mark my heartwood's beat, my leaves flutter. Would you turn me to timber, cutter? Leave me nothing but a heap of logs, a pile of brash. I am a world, cutter. I am a maker of life, drinker of rain, breaker of rocks, caster of shade, eater of sun. I am timekeeper, breath giver, deep thinker, cutter. I am a city of butterflies, a country of creatures. But my world takes years to grow, cutter, and seconds to crash. Your saw can fell me, your axe can bring me low. Do you hear these words I utter? I ask this of you. Have you heartwood, cutter? Have those who sent you? Before we understand this poem, let's see to the difficult words. Heartwood. The meaning is the hard and dense inner or central part of a tree trunk. You can see this in the image. The inner part is known as heartwood. Hew. Cut down with an axe. Sap. The juice that flows inside a living plant or tree. You can see the red and white color, that is sap. Mutter, words spoken in a low voice. Timber, wood used for furniture, houses, and so on. Brash, small pieces cut from hedges and trees. Now let us understand this poem. Dear students, always remember that heartwood is the innermost and inseparable part of a tree. The explanation of the first 8 lines goes like this. The speaker of this poem is a tree, and it's been personified means given a human quality. That's why here we'll use the pronoun she for the tree. So, the living tree is asking the woodcutter pitifully if he would chop her with his sharp axe to the core or up to the inner part and leave her open to die. She then pleads the cutter to put his ear gently on her bark and listen to the whisper of the sap flowing inside her in worry. She tells the merciless cutter that he should listen to the beats and feel the life inside her and see the leaves trembling and fluttering in fear. The tree further asks the cutter if he would cut and turn her into timber, making her lifeless forever. She will then be nothing more than a heap of logs or a bundle of brash to be burned into ashes. She will only become furniture, decorative pieces, and so on. Once the cutter will chop her into pieces, she will be worthless. Now, students, let's see the next 8 lines of this soul-stirring poem. In these lines, the tree continues to express herself explicitly and wants the cutter to realize and register his actions of destroying her and her fraternity. She reminds the ruthless cutter that she is the maker, the creator of life on the earth, and she only observes water and brings rain. She breaks down rocks and contributes to the high rates of soil production. She then tells that she brings down the heat of the sun by providing shade and thus protects all the human beings by the wrath of the sun too. She further says she is the timekeeper, as she keeps the record of time and has impressive and incredible stories of struggle and accord from the past to tell. She reminds the woodcutter to become conscious of his actions, as she is the breath giver, means we humans should remember that we are dependent on trees for our life, that is oxygen. She further says she is a home for butterflies and for all different kinds of creatures. From these lines, the poet wants us to remember that human beings, trees, and plants are interdependent. Now, here, with the continuation of the poem, in the endmost lines, the tree informs the woodcutter that she and all the other trees have grown gradually on this earth for a longer period of time. As we know, students, that a tree takes many number of years to grow and flourish. But on the other hand, a woodcutter, without giving any heed, cuts a tree down within seconds with his flash of an axe or a saw. She says that the woodcutter is able to bring her green, leafy, and life giving branches to the ground, making her lifeless forever, which means dead. And in the concluding lines, the humble tree questions the cruel and remorseless cutter if he hears what she speaks and if he is able to comprehend her feelings, means if he is able to understand and realize her emotions, or has he and those have sent him to cut her have become heartless or cruel, while cutting and killing her ruthlessly and all the other trees on the earth. Now, students, let's understand what's the method of this poem. The poet has used the figure of speech named personification. And in the beginning, I have told you what's a personification. When a writer, an author, or a poet gives a non-living thing the traits and qualities of a human being, like emotion, desire, sensation, and speech, to express its feelings. In this poem, a tree is being personified because the tree is constantly speaking to the woodcutter. Now, moving to the next, the theme of the poem. The theme of the poem Heartwood is that trees have life as human beings. They are life giver, and we humans should respect and save them. Then comes the last one, the message of the poem. Robert Macfarlane wants us to understand that unnecessary felling of trees should be stopped. Through his writings about forests, landscapes, and nature, he conveys the strong need of urgent and large-scale change to protect nature. For this, the human beings will have to improve their relationship with their environment for the sake of themselves and their children.